Welcome to Educare. In this video, I'm going to talk about rural development, which is as a common paper for third semester students. In this video, just I'm going to brief you the topic. Okay, see here there are some topics I have taken which are important, and not only this but also you can read other remaining topics along with this. Okay, see here in every question I have explained which is important. That is only I have explained, and the remaining text is there. That text, if you have time, you can read them. By listening this video, you can understand the topic, what is rural development and what is the need to develop the rural areas in India, and how the villages are self-sufficient and what is the condition of villages. These all things you will understand. One more thing is that, so before writing the exam, just you understand, you imagine the scenario of the village development. I think most of the students from the rural background, they can able to write the examination easily by understanding this topic. And see, while writing exam in the examination, that comes on rural development only. It means how to develop village and what are the policies to be formulated, what are the schemes to be introduced, and what is the condition of the villagers, farmers, and what type of initiatives are taken by the government to develop the villages. These all things will be in the question paper. So you write well, you understand how the video is. This that forget to like this video. Okay, thanks. Let us start this now. What is rural development? Explain objectives of rural development. In this question, we focus on the objectives to develop the rural area. Agriculture is a major source of livelihood in rural sector of India. Mahatma Gandhi defines like real progress of India did not mean only the industrial growth but also the development of villages, because two-thirds of India's population depends on agriculture. One third of rural Indians still live in poverty, and we have to bring them out. Upliftment is needed for them. The meaning of development. Rural development refers to process of improving up or uplifting the living conditions of the people living in rural areas. Here, this is a very complex to develop them, and we have to involve them in the interaction of the economic, social, political, technical, and other situational factors. This can integrate them to participate actively in the government policies as well as the policies fruits can reach them. Objectives of rural development. The main objectives of the rural development is improving the living standards of the villages, and by utilizing the easily available natural and human resources in the villages. The objectives of the rural development is another improving the living standards by providing food, shelter, clothing, employment, and education, making and through the centralization of the administration to ensure the distributive justice and equalization of the opportunities in the society, increase the productivity in the rural area as and reduce the poverty, to involve the people in planning and development through their participation in the decision. Development is agriculture and allied activities, development of the villages, the cottage industries, handicrafts, and development of socio-economic infrastructure, which includes the setting up of the rural banks, and development of community services by drinking water, electricity, rural roads, health services. Explain the importance of rural development. Here, what is the importance only? That we emphasize on the importance of the rural development. The improvement in the quality of life of rural people is the important agenda of rural development program. In India, a country where the number of people living in rural areas, rural development program is necessary expected to develop them. Rural development implies the betterment of the people as well as the greater social transformation. The basic objectives of the all rural development endeavors or the programs has been welfare of the millions of people who are living in the villages. This is to provide the rural people with better aspect prospects for the economic development. Importance of rural development. Rural development is a national necessity and has a considerable importance in the India because of the following reasons. About 3/4 of Indians' population live in rural areas. Thus, rural development is needed to develop nation as a whole.
Nearly half of the country, the national income is derived from agriculture, which is a major occupation of rural India. Around 70% of Indian population gets employment through their agriculture. Bulks of raw material for industries come from agricultural sector only. Increasing in the industrial population can be justified by the rural population motivation and increasing the purchasing power to buy the industrial goods. And also, it can be also making them, the poor people, to lead the political stability. What are the main characteristics of Indian rural economy? Rural development refers to the process of improving or uplifting the living conditions of the people living in rural areas. Rural development as a process in the complex involves the interaction of the economic, social, political, technical, and other situational factors. The essential characteristics of the rural development or the rural community as follows. The size of the community. The village communities are smaller in area than the urban communities. Density of population. Here we find the low population, the low density of population, and the face to face contact with each other in a village. Everyone knows everyone. Agriculture is the main occupation. Agriculture is the fundamental occupation of the rural people and forms basis of the rural economy. A farmer has to perform the various agricultural activities for which he needs the cooperation of other members. Choose close contact with the nature. The rural people are in close contact with nature as most of their daily activities revolve around the natural environment. Homogeneity of population. The village communities are homogeneous in nature. Most of their inhabitants are connected with agriculture and its allied occupations, though there are people belonging to different castes, religions, and classes. Social stratification. In rural societies, social stratification is a traditional characteristic based on the caste. The rural society is divided into various strata on the basis of caste. Social interaction. The frequency of social interaction in rural areas is comparatively lower than in urban areas. However, the interaction level process more stability and continuity. Social mobility. In rural areas, mobility is rigid as all the occupations are based on the caste. Shifting from one occupation to another is difficult as a caste is determined by birth. Social solidarity. The degree of social solidarity is greater in villages as compared to the urban areas. Joint family. Another characteristic feature of the rural society is joint family system. Generally, the father is the head of the family. Problems of challenges in rural development. As we know, the 60 to 70% of population in India lives in primitive conditions, so that the rural development programs have urgency in the present conditions also. Development programs in which as are our agenda. First one, the poverty. It means we have to remove the poverty because most of the people living under the poverty line. 21.1% of people in rural areas of our country were living in below poverty line in 2007. Literacy. Most of the villagers they don't go to school, they don't send to their children to the school because they don't have know the importance of education. Literacy rate in rural India is only 59.40%. Small land holdings. With the increase of population, the land, one of the major factors of the production, is becoming a scarce commodity. Malnutrition and starvation. It is closely linked with the issue of the extreme poverty as well as mass awareness. The infant mortality rate under 1 was 54% in 2007. Ill health. Due to lack of proper health care facilities and education, people of the country are suffering from various diseases. The child mortality and greater number of the maternal death are also creating the major threats to the development of the rural area in India. Ignorance and lack of a scientific temperament. The villagers don't have the understand they don't understand the technology and they won't think in the scientifically while farming while running their life. Caste system. Village life is intermingled with the caste system and interlocked with it. Most of the occupations are done by the birth of the person in the caste. Communication and transportation. See, this is very major a challenge to the nation. Even after 70 years of the independence, the communication and the transportation system of the country are not up to the mark. Exploitation by the vested interest groups. Here, most of the villages were exploited by the landlords, money lenders, like Jamindari system is through not available. Rural people are still in the grip of the money lenders, Mahajans, and some other middlemen. They are taking heavy loans from them and they are unable to pay the interest for that, and finally, they are giving their lands to them under the payment of this interest. Gender inequality. We can see more in villages this type of thing. Women are still not represented as a great extent in the local as well as national decision making bodies. This is one of the major uh, backwardness in the rural areas. Explain the rural development programs in India. In this topic, we discussed what type of the schemes were introduced by the government to develop the rural area. First one is a community development program. While writing answer, just you write the heading and you explain about that. It was launched on 2nd October 1952. Intense Agricultural District Program. This was put into action during the 1960 and 61. Important objectives of the program was to improve the agricultural production. Intensive Agricultural Area Program. The Government of India formulated the Intensive Agricultural Area Program with a view to cover at least 20% to 25% of the cultivated area of the country, and this area should be selected for the intensive development of the imports crops such as wheat, paddy, millets, cotton, sugarcane, potato, pulses, etc. High yielding varieties. It was launched in the country from the Kharif season of 1966 and 67. The important objective of the program was to attain the self-sufficiency in food by the end of the 1970 and 71. Small Farmers Development Agency. It recommended for the establishment of a Small Farmers Development Agency. The special efforts as proposed are to be restricted to those cultivators who can be the developed into the surplus farmers. Marginal Farmer Agricultural Labor Development Agency. This is the principal objectives of the program to assist the marginal farmers and agricultural laborers in maximum productive use of their small holding and skills by undertaking horticulture, animal husbandry, and other economic activities. Draft Prone Area Program. A rural works program was initiated 1970-71 with the objectives of providing the development investment in draft prone areas. Integrated tribal development agencies. India has the largest concentration of the tribal population found in Bihar, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Odisha, Rajasthan, and West Bengal. Write an essay on suggestions of rural development in India. In India, the people in general and weaker section people particularly are depend on agriculture and the traditional rural economic sectors for their livelihood. The steps to be taken by the government to develop them. The government should open the social cell for the publicity of the rural development. And it often said that the rural development programs failed to attain its desired goal. Importance objectives of the rural development is to eradicate poverty to reduce the imbalance among the society. The benefits of the self-employment programs need to train the education prior to their involving involvement in the programs. The implementation and monitoring agencies is required to impart required skills among them. The wage employment end program can be fully focused on the rural infrastructural development and local natural resources development. The working of the rural programs in the last decades has shown that initiative for the implementing the programs is vested in the DRDA. And the program also specialized to expertise and banks should work in close cooperation with the district planning unit in order to have a coordinated and a scientific plan. Voluntary organizations are there, and this prosperity of rural depends on the directly upon the development of agriculture and industries. What is the role of the NABARD in rural development? This is a national bank to assist the agriculture sector in rural areas. NABARD has power to deal with the matters of concerning policy planning as well as the operations living operations giving a credit for the agriculture and other economic activities in the rural area. It is a financing funding agency, and it provides the investment and production credit for the promoting several developmental programs in rural area. It coordinates the rural credit financing activities of all sorts of institutions engaged in the rural development. It also provides investment for that, including monitoring, formulation, and rehabilitation schemes in infrastructural and restructuring of the credit institutions and the training of personnel. It prepares rural credit plans annually for all districts in the country. It also promotes the research in rural banking and field of the agriculture and rural development. NABARD plays an important role in developing the infrastructural facilities in rural areas such as irrigation, roads, bridges, health, education, social conservation, drinking water schemes, flood, etc. Explain the self-helping groups. You know that self-helping groups very well in your local area. This group consists of 10 to 20 people in a locality formed for any social or economic purposes. Mostly this comprises the women. Okay, this can provide the microfinance to the model, and this is an Indian microfinance model also. It is introduced in 1992 under the guidelines by the NABARD and RBI. They perform the role of the collective banks. They mobilize the savings from the members and perform both debit and credit functions. What is microcredit? Here, the microcredit is a part of the microfinance which provides a wider range of financial services, especially saving accounts to the poor. See, most of the villagers they tend to go to the money lenders whenever they need money, and because of this thing, they have been cheated by them, and they have collected more interest from the poor villagers. To stop this, the government of India has initiated micro credit system. Under this, most of the villages uh, established the microfinancing credit system. Under that, banks were established, especially the Grameen banks were established in the villages to assist them in financially whenever they need. It has first originated with the Grameen Bank, which was founded in Bangladesh in 1983. Then afterwards, all over the India, all over the country, it was these were established to help them in financial system. Explain high yielding varieties program. High yielding varieties means instead of getting low productivity, by using this we are getting more productivity. It means a high productivity can be achieved by this one. In Kharif, it was launched in Kharif 1966 and 67 with an objective to attain the self-sufficiency in food by 1970 and 71. The core philosophy of the program was to increase the productivity of food grains by adopting the latest varieties inputs of the crops. This program, the fourth in the 4th 5-year plan, was major out breakthrough and a turning point in the history of agriculture development. This is that. Okay. Thanks for watching this video.